Welcome into another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, automobile windshields. They're not just another piece of glass, what they do and why you need to keep them in good repair. Talk is Free Theater brings a new production of the musical Jesus Christ Superstar to the Five Points Theater, drawing parallels between the final days of Christ and the final days of Black Panther Party Chairman Fred Hampton. A report last week on stolen vehicles talked about a huge increase in thefts in Ontario. We talk with Barrie Police about how you can keep someone from driving off with yours, and we get the latest on the Barrie Colts journey through the OHL season. We get the conversation started after this. This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. A new production of the musical Jesus Christ Superstar. Pre-performance tonight at Five Points Theater. This is in partnership with Talk is Free Theater. We'll give you all the other details a little bit later. This is a radically different production from what I understand, from what a lot of us would remember from the 1970s when Jesus Christ Superstar first came out and in various incarnations since. Here to tell us about the production, director Sasha Dennis. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Before we start talking about the production, you're the founder of something called Musicals Reimagined.
That is correct.
Let's discuss that, what that's all about and how that came about.
Thank you. Well, Musicals Reimagined is the best way I can describe it is a director's vision board. After having directed for a couple of years, I just wanted to put something online for people in my community to see what I'm doing and the things that I want to tackle. And it's really a chance for me to challenge traditional practices in musical theater that sometimes are problematic. So and also flipping traditional theater as well is what I love to do.
So this isn't the first musical you've reimagined.
Not at all. Not the first and not the last.
All of that said, set the stage for us on this production of Jesus Christ Superstar. How did it come about? Why did you want to focus on this production?
Of course. I think I've always had a fascination with the Black Panther Party, particularly Fred Hampton. I didn't really know much about his story. And as I started to do more research, I understood what their why was. Their why was really to fight for freedom and equality and basic needs for Black people. So that's really interested me. And as I did a deeper dive, I realized how uncanny the parallels were between Fred Hampton and the accounts of Jesus Christ and knowing that there is Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical, and it's been around for 50 years, I really took that as a vehicle for me to reimagine it this way.
Is the music the same? You just changed the lyrics and made it all fit?
I wish it were that simple, but actually, when you license the show and when you do the show, you can't make any changes to the text, which is great because that is a challenge for me. I love to do that, and I like to work around what is actually there. So that's what we're doing, and I think folks would recognize the songs. If they know Jesus Christ Superstar, they recognize the songs. We just kind of do it differently, and I think it's exciting.
What was the inspiration for this? You kind of touched on that, but go a little deeper for us.
The inspiration for me, I feel like since 2020, there's been such a need for Black voices to be heard and us taking more space. And I think really that was the impetus for me to want to put more Black stories on stage and have people understand that. And I feel very strongly, anytime I do work and working on reimaginings, I feel strongly about hiring Black people of color. So our whole cast is all POCs and very talented POCs in Canada that I don't think a lot of people give credit to. So that's really my passion, is wanting to uplift and empower Black people.
And I bet the cast is just jazzed to be a part of this.
Absolutely jazzed. They have really taken this concept and running with it. And I feel so blessed to have a great team, a great cast that really understands the vision and wants to do well with it.
Is this the first time you've put on this production?
This will be the first time. We've done different iterations of this concept before. I did a music video in 2021 of just one of the songs from Jesus Christ Superstar. Gethsemane, that's correct. And, concert versions here, presentations here, but never a full production.
So how have these previous little productions been received?
It's actually been received really well. I think a lot of people are surprised to see it done this way. And, you know, I say it's surprised that it's done this way. I mean, there's lots of different versions of Jesus Christ Superstar over the last 50 years, right? There's been an all-female version. There was a soul version. They did a soundtrack in 1972. So there have been different versions and retellings of Jesus Christ Superstar. But to see it done this way, and I think a lot of people were really surprised by the story, and I think it did really well because of that.
Well, and as you say, there are parallels.
That's right. Lots of parallels. I was really surprised. And again, the reason why I ran with this kind of motivation and concept is that, you know, Fred Hampton served for 3 years. Jesus' ministry was 3 years. They both died on a Friday. William O'Neill, who was an informant for the FBI and infiltrated the Black Panther Party, he's kind of our Judas. And he also committed suicide years later because of the guilt that he had. So lots of similarities. They all had the Last Supper on the Thursday. The Black Panthers got together at midnight and shared a meal, and that's where William O'Neill poisoned one of Fred's drink, which led to the raid the next morning. So, yeah, there's lots of similarities that I couldn't ignore.
A little bit haunting, isn't it?
Very
there are
haunting.
That many similarities in the two stories.
Yes. I thought it was. I was so fascinated by it, and I keep discovering new similarities, and I just want to be able to showcase that on stage.
Okay, you're going to get this done and out of the way. It runs till December 2nd. What do you have your eye on next?
Oh my goodness, so many things. There's so much to say, and I have so many projects on the go. I have an adaptation of Ragtime. It's a new musical I'm writing with my writing partner, and we hope to do a workshop of the whole show next year. I really love flipping scripts and seeing it differently, so I'm excited. There's
a huge history book you can draw from, isn't there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lots.
All right. As we say, pre-performance is tonight.
Correct.
At Five Points Theatre. Opening is tomorrow night, but both of those are sold out.
That's right.
But there are tickets available for the rest of the productions, and in fact, another performance has been added on to December 2nd, I understand.
That is right.
All right, I believe tiff.ca is the website to go to for more information. Sasha Dennis, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for this production. A different perspective on something that many of us have known about for a long, long time.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you so much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Auto thefts have reached a historic high in Ontario, with the Honda CR-V still the vehicle of choice for thieves. Nearly 2,700 of them were stolen last year from around the province. They're also the most stolen car in Canada, with more than 5,600 swiped last year. Vehicle thefts on the whole skyrocketed by 48% last year, which prompted a call from us to Peter Leon at Barrie Police to come in to talk about the issue and how you can protect yourself. We're not immune from this spike in thefts, are we?
Regrettably, we have seen probably on average so far this year just over one vehicle per day being stolen in the city of Barrie, which is an increase over previous. Obviously, we're hearing from the GTA police authorities down there where this type of occurrence is much more regular than here. Ours seems to be a bit of a circle. It comes and it goes. We get a rash and then it seems to stop. But we can never afford to let our guard down. As vehicle owners, we need our vehicles to get from point A to point B and back and all points in between. So we need to protect our vehicles and make sure that they're going to be in the driveway when we go out in the morning to use them.
Is there a particular modus operandi, if you will, among thieves? Are they approaching people in their cars, or is it happening overnight?
In the past week, we saw a bit of a trend where we had vehicles being stolen overnight while people slept. That still seems to be the most popular way of obtaining vehicles. Haven't seen the violent carjackings per se that we've certainly heard about in the GTA that are taking place for high-end motor vehicles. But again, you can never afford to let down your guard. People need to be vigilant. You need to be aware of your surroundings at all times. And, make sure that you lock your key, check your glove boxes, make sure that there's no spare key in there, because if you do leave it unlocked, That's the key to somebody else's success, and we don't want to see you become a victim of opportunistic thieves.
Let's talk about some of the protections that people can take. First of all, if they're sleeping, the car's parked in the driveway or even in the garage. Best if it's in the garage, but that won't stop a thief either.
No, make sure the vehicle is always locked, no matter where you leave it, whether it's in the garage, underground, your driveway. First and foremost, make sure that the vehicle is locked. That's always step number one. The other thing you can do is put your keys, if you have a key fob that opens your vehicle, that starts your vehicle with a push button start, keep the keys away from the front door. Invest in a Faraday type pouch. That will block the radio frequency from the key fob from getting out and being able to be cloned, and that could result in your vehicle being stolen if they are able to clone that.
And they're not expensive. They're only $7 or $8, I think.
And they're available at most automotive type stores, and they're very popular right now. So there should be a lot of stock in there. Hey, Christmas is coming. It would make a great stocking stuffer for anybody, to make sure they keep their vehicles safe.
The other thing is you can disengage that push button start if you want. I know in my car it has it, but you can pull that button off and that disengages all of that, I believe.
Anything you can do to prevent the theft from taking place. We've suggested in the past, again, with vehicles that are popular to thieves, cover your VIN number that's on your dashboard at the bottom left corner of your windshield. They're able to access information from that VIN plate. That may assist as well. The other thing that we strongly encourage people to do is get a steering wheel locking device. And again, apply that in your driveway, parking lot. Even if you're going in to grab a few groceries, don't give somebody the chance. If you've got it, use it. And protect yourself. We're even seeing people investing in boots that they put on, the locking boots onto tires that are very popular with vehicles that are left parked in places that shouldn't be. People are doing that and putting them on their driveway. I saw a neighbor who had one on his boat to ensure that nobody could hook up his boat and trailer it off during the summer season as well. So again, people are getting very creative in their own special way, which is good. We want the public to be certainly aware that, this is a preventable type of offense if you do everything that you can. And again, should you become a victim, you'll be able to report this back to your insurance company with what you have done. But most importantly, you need to let the police know as soon as possible because, again, if that vehicle's on the road, we can have officers looking for it locally and beyond our jurisdiction here in Barrie.
You mentioned being aware of your surroundings in terms of people who might be fall victim to a carjacking. What else should people be doing or thinking about? These tend to be violent at times, so you have to be quite careful.
Comply with the request. Again, your safety is paramount. You can never do enough to keep yourself safe. If they want your car, give it to them. You know what? Your life is much more valuable than a vehicle that is insured, that is replaceable. Yes, it's going to be an inconvenience, and certainly we don't want to see people victimized by these individuals. But again, it comes down to your personal safety, and that's what's most important.
As always, thanks for the advice.
Thank you, and let's stay safe out there.
What Barrie's Talking About is a weekly podcast featuring the best Barrie and Simcoe County have to offer and more. You can get caught up and make it easy to keep up in the future by subscribing to What Barrie's Talking About through any podcast distributor. Still to come on What Barrie's Talking About, what is your windshield watching while you're looking through it in your travels and why you need to ensure it's in good shape. And a look at the Barrie Colts' fortunes last week and how this weekend is shaping up. Now this.
Our community rocks.
It's a well-known fact blood transfusion saves lives. It's also a well-known fact that the world relies on voluntary unpaid donations to fill the need for blood. The need for blood never ends. Canadian Blood Services in Barrie is calling on you to help save a life. Please consider donating today. Appointments are mandatory and must be booked in advance. Book today at blood.ca through the Give Blood app or by calling 1-888-2-DONATE.
Our community rocks on Barrie's Rock Station. Rock 95.
This is what Barrie's talking about on Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely, joined today by William Monteith, the owner of Zenetec in Barrie and a couple of other places too. And we brought you in today to talk about auto glass because you've just opened a brand new exclusive auto glass shop around the corner from us.
Yeah, we're very excited about it.
I'm thinking at one point windshields were pretty easy to take out and put back, but there's a lot of stuff plastered on windshields now. I bet it's a little bit more labor intensive than it used to be.
Yeah, it's gotten to be, cars have gotten to be more closer to computers than they have ever been. And a big part of the information coming into the car is coming through your windshield. So yeah, the windshield's become a very integral part of the vehicle's ability to know and help you with your driver assist and the information that it processes.
Well, and there are some that have actual display that gets shone up on them. Is that part of the windshield, or is that in the dashboard and shines up?
Yeah, no, that's in the dashboard. But there's all kinds of cameras and radars and all kinds of other stuff that built into the windshield that it's super important that it gets calibrated. It's a big part of what why we had to open a new facility was specifically around calibration. There's a lot of space needed to do it according to the factory specifications, which is where we really focus on is repairing the car back to the factory settings, not working within a confined space. We work with 23 different manufacturers on the collision side of the business. So we got to learn a lot about the importance of calibration when changing a windshield or fixing your car. And some of the scarier stats is only about a third of cars that are repaired are getting calibrated. And so it's this big learning curve the industry isn't up to speed on. And it's a interesting, very much evolving part of the auto repair industry is this calibration side of the car and the technology. There's just so much of it.
What happens if you don't get that calibrated, if you don't bother with it?
It increases the chances of the car not getting proper, the car really is living in a virtual world, and then there's the real world. And what we do is we marry the two to accuracy. So if you change a windshield and there's a difference of 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeters on how the windshield goes in, 100 yards out when it's reading that transport truck that's coming into a different lane or a motorcycle, it's a difference of feet and sometimes 10 feet. And then obviously the car thinks it's closer or further away than actual. And that's when you get into, motorcycles, smaller objects or something moving from the left or the right, or if it's aimed too far up or too far down, the car doesn't, at this point anyways, aren't smart enough to know what actual distance is. So we teach it actual parameters, again, to make sure that the sensor is back to that factory parameter and factory setting.
And I'm guessing if you got a stone chip or a crack, that might impact all of what's happening there too, which is why you really need to get in and have it addressed as opposed to letting it sit for months and months and months. I'll get around to it.
Yeah, any distortion in front of the cameras or sensors throw off everything. So yeah, if you get an impact and a crack ends up going through that camera, stone chips are relatively easy to fix. Insurance companies cover them actually free of cost. To the consumer, and if you get it soon enough and water and moisture doesn't get in there, and then what's about to happen is that moisture is about to freeze, and you get the big cracks happening within the next cold snap that comes. If you don't address your stone chips, we see a huge influx in that first cold snap.
I bet a lot of people never think about that, do they?
No, it's one of those things you if you haven't been through it yet and haven't had it happen, you don't know what you don't know. So yeah. You mentioned insurance companies looking after stone chips. What about an entire windshield replacement? Is that generally covered, or is there deductibles involved there, or how's that work? Yeah, there's deductibles, but yeah, your policy will always cover that. Some insurance companies push really hard for you to accept aftermarket glass or OEE glass, as some of our competitors refer to it as. But those are all aftermarket. We really push factory. Again, any distortion we've seen it in aftermarket glass, we can't calibrate the cameras correctly. or at all.
Give us an idea, if you can, of what the cost of a new windshield. So if somebody didn't have it on their car insurance, they turned it down because they think they would never need it or whatever. But if they didn't have insurance, what's it going to cost them just for the piece of glass and everything that's attached to it now before you even add in your labor?
Yeah, well, the glass itself, I mean, it's a huge range depending on, is the front windshield heated? There's a lot. Some of the higher end cars, it can be up to $3,000 just for the piece of glass.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but what's closer to normal is $500 to $700 is closer to normal for a piece of glass. So
you've been open a couple of weeks here on Huronia Road, just shy of Big Bay Point Road. A lot of people coming in, a lot of people wondering what's going on.
Yeah, we're starting to get calls that we never got before.
And phone number if somebody wants to call ahead of time?
Yeah, 705-737-1988. We'll get you to any of our services, and then from there you choose where you want to go.
William, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for shedding some light on what the industry is all about, because I know people ask about it all the time and people put it off all the time. So maybe they won't put it off now based on what you've told them today.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and look forward to it again.
The Barrie Colts earned a split of their games last weekend. We get a review from Barrie 360's Will Conkin and Colts broadcaster and writer Gene Pereira.
Never a dull moment with this club, hey Gene. Colts rattled off 3 wins in a row, 5-3 against Kingston to start things off, another win over Mississauga, 3-1, then old rivals the Battalion 4-2. It seemed like a lot of the young guys were really making an impact in these ones, eh?
Yeah, it was an outstanding weekend, especially for the young group. I mean, they're without veterans like Frask and Boakey. He injured himself on Friday night, and then Weigel as well, so you kind of carried the day. That 5-3 win over Kingston. Shamar Moses got his first couple of goals of his OHL career after a pretty good start. Was kind of snake bitten there, but he just again, he's kind of leading the way there. An outstanding young player, their first round pick. And then on Friday night in Mississauga, Sam Hildebrandt bounced back after that tough start in Ottawa where he got pulled after giving up 4 goals. He bounced back with outstanding effort, especially in the third. I think he stopped 17 shots there against Mississauga to hold on to the lead, and then he got to start again against North Bay in that win as well. And the same thing where North Bay was pressing really hard in the third period. Hildebrandt was outstanding and helped Barrie solidify, the third win, a sweep of the weekend.
Colts are kind of bunched up, I kind of guess, in the standings. It really looks like a tight race. It seems like every game really matters.
Yeah, you go from a focus of where they lose 6 of 8 and they're struggling and they make the move to the youth, releasing Cooper Matthews and so on. But, then they come back and sweep the weekend, and all of a sudden you look at it, well, they're 4 points at the top spot in the conference. And, and really, again, just 6 points separate the top 9 out of 10 teams in the conference, which really tells you there's nobody really running away with it. And it's still somewhat early, but we're a quarter into the season, and it shows that maybe nobody's going to run away with the East, and that this young group, if they play like they did this weekend, they can find themselves in the mix.
Colts hit the road today, take on the Ice Dogs, then host the Guelph Storm on Saturday. What do you see happening in these ones?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Thursday in St. Catharines, and the bit of the rivalry, their Central Division rivals, the Ice Dogs, but they've really struggled. They've undergone a coaching change and an opportunity, a game that really Barrie should, you want to get a win here in Niagara, and again start the weekend off well, and then you return home on Saturday to face a Guelph Storm team that's a pretty good team in the Western Conference, but again an opportunity where you're coming off some success, and you hope that you can build on that confidence that you gained from this past weekend.
Always a pleasure. Thanks again, Gene.
Thanks, Will.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Will for his input, to Matt Ladder for his technical expertise, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com. Some of you can still see us on Facebook, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast, available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.